This podcast is for entertainment purposes only and does not constitute professional advice. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed are the speaker's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of their affiliated organizations.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Ready to Connect. I'm Ryan.
I'm Lisa.
I'm Heather.
And today we're talking about the Clairaudience. But
Clear hearing.
Right. Yeah.
Hearing spirit.
And but before we get into that, it's gonna be a really awesome topic. Is there anything that anyone wants to share about what they've done outside of the podcast? Lisa, do you have anything that you want to share?
Well, I've actually been, it's been pretty hot and humid, so I haven't been very active, let's just say. After family had left and everything, I've taken the time to kind of like go back to my art studio, pick up a watercolor brush, do some practicing with it, not really creating much. I haven't worked with watercolors a lot. My mother used to paint a lot with watercolors, and I find it not an easy medium for me to use. I'm used to inks and chalks and glue and paper and things like that, but I found it to be pretty relaxing. And so aside from doing that, just reading up my books, I'm an avid reader, so that's basically all I've really been into. Yeah, how about you?
Like fun. Let's see. So, well, I've been enjoying so I like birds, and I have a birdhouse. The bluebirds have since left a couple months ago.
They leave? They don't stay around?
They left the area. I still see them coming in and going,
but
okay. They're not in the birdhouse anymore. Now 2 house sparrows have taken over. So I've been watching them build a nest every day. They're just bringing so much stuff. And I'm like, well, okay, at least these eggs will be cared for. Like they will be might feel claustrophobic, but that's okay. They'll at least be warm.
Exactly, or protected.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm watching them.
It's just right for them, right?
Yes.
So I'm very much a pen to paper kind of person. And I absolutely enjoy writing, and I love doing automatic writing, which completely connects with what we're talking about today. And when I walk in the woods or wherever I'm walking, I always tend to find feathers, and I love finding feathers. Well, the other day I found a hawk feather that was sitting on the ground. It was beautiful. It was actually right on top of a natural piece of quartz.
Wow.
So I asked if I could take it from Spirit. I was allowed to take it from the woods, and I put a quill on it. And I started doing some journaling work and noticed that my journaling went from my thoughts to channeling.
Wow.
And it's so old-fashioned. I know a lot of people don't do it anymore, but to write with a quill is so, I'm not even sure what the word is.
Therapeutic?
It is therapeutic, but it's also very much mindful because you're scripting. You're trying to do calligraphy, or you're scripting out letters, and it brings out that really creative piece.
Yeah.
So that's something I've been doing in between, like some free time and whatnot. But I do have a really great story to tell at the end of this podcast. Yeah. It'll totally make sense.
That automatic writing is a fun thing to do that totally works with the claircognizance and stuff like that. But
it does.
If you've ever seen Heather's penmanship, it's very scripty, squirrely. I mean, one of her fascinations is the Victorian era, so yes. She loves all that kind of lettering and things.
Which I believe came from a past life, because I was not exposed to it in my childhood. Wasn't it? I mean, I saw script and calligraphy and Latin and all that other stuff, but like somewhere deep inside was like it's ingrained in me. I love scripting. I love calligraphy, and I love working with quills and ink and splattering ink everywhere. It's great.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's an art form too, right?
Right.
It is. It very much is.
You do art. You do.
Yeah, the lettering and all that kind of calligraphy is
adding all the little scrolls to it.
Not everybody can do it.
Right.
You can get all the fancy pens to help you with stuff, but not everybody can do it. And you go back to bubble lettering. That's about as fancy as I used to get when I was young. 80s? And I'm not really good at calligraphy. I'm much better with a paintbrush, or I like different kinds of pens, but they're not calligraphy pens. But her penmanship is very scripty, very much reminiscent of that. The only problem is that people can't read the script anymore.
I know. I had to stop writing because a lot of times I pre-channel messages that come in before the client gets with us, or if I have something for a friend. And unfortunately, some of our generations from like a certain age down can't read script anymore. They can't even read cursive. They can't write cursive. And I
Yeah.
remember having this young lady come. She couldn't have been more than 19.
Is it
And
alien language? What
and
is that?
I had pre-channel messages and I wrote it out in, in cursive writing.
Hmm.
And she looked at me and she was like, I can't read this. And I was like, whoa.
Wow.
Like, now I feel old. Now I feel old because that was taught in schools and now I
Right.
guess it's not. And it's so sad because creative writing or calligraphy or script writing does come from a creative part of the brain that helps kids really become interactive between the paper and pen.
Hmm.
There's a proven science to all of that, which is sad. But yeah, so I had to go back and I typed it all out and emailed it to her because I wasn't going to sit there and write 3 pages of notes out
Oh, wow.
in regular penmanship.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if some people out there are interested in this, I encourage you to sideline and teach your kids how to do cursive writing or read it.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's,
You can still find font, I think,
Mm-hmm.
that is reminiscent of cursive, and you can definitely find script in cursive fonts.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the fonts I noticed that are popular and being chosen that you see on different kinds of products that you buy are very much italicized, I want to say.
Yes.
Print rather to make it look a little bit more fancy, but in any case, but yeah.
but it's cool.
Yeah.
Clairaudience works with that, internal dialogue, the external dialogue, sounds that maybe people can't normally hear. I'm famous for getting into the car and like noticing a sound in your car and you don't even know it's there. I hear things that are just like at the most minute level, but yet they're like at decimal 10 for me.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, to be clear, when we're talking about clairaudience and people who have this as a gift, and it's not one of my strong gifts for sure. It is definitely a strong gift within Heather. You have some
and
of that too,
Ryan,
right?
Yeah.
Ryan, we've
Um,
talked about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But what you can notice, you can always pick up, aside from how they speak, sounds good, sounds like a plan, those kind of vocabulary words that they use, you can always tell somebody who might be more leaning that way if they're if they're very hypersensitive to sound. When I say hypersensitive, like Heather was saying, I can pick it up, or it might be more amplified. Little tiny little sounds will bug her. I remember being in this studio before recording for an interview for one of a different podcast, and for your Walking in Your Shoes podcast, and I found it ridiculous as I'm sitting here because the clairaudient people in here could hear all this reverberation going on, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And they were just adamant, you
Yeah.
guys, I got to put foam here, there, I can hear it all. And I'm like, okay, I'm happy in my little bubble of maybe not hearing all that stuff. But that's something I noticed with Heather. She definitely has a hypersensitive sound, which she talks about in the car traveling. There'll be little like this something, and it'll be like my coffee kind of shaking in the cup holder, and every now and then all of a sudden her hand will go foop and hold it because it's been too much, or a little leaf caught in your windshield on the
So, a quick story. Lisa challenged that right out the gate when we first met.
Oh.
She immediately became aware that I was clairaudient but didn't have words for it at that point in
Mhm.
time. When I met my beautiful business partner over here, she was sitting at the table and we're talking and we're going through things, and she takes a pen, the one that has the clicky top,
Yeah.
and she's sitting
there's
there.
one right there.
There's one right there, doing the click, 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 repetitively.
Oh.
And I gently just put my hand on her. Now, I barely knew this woman at this point, and I was just like,
She took the pen from my hand.
I did not.
You did. Oh, you did. You took the pen very carefully. Took
I just
pen.
stopped you from clicking
No,
it.
you took the pen from my hand. So then I immediately went to drumming my finger on the table, just because that can be my sense of humor. A little stinker sometimes.
But that repetitive sound just is like white noise for me. So it just makes all the voices like cue into it, and it gets louder for me. So, and clairaudience for me is not always internal, it's external. It's hearing things beyond that veil, I guess is the best way to put it, like from spirit to the physical world. But I know you're a musician.
Yes.
And music must be so auditory for you.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. So going off of what you were saying, like ever since I was a kid, I would be listening to music and I could pick up like certain sounds in the music that other people couldn't hear. I remember I had a music teacher that I was taking lessons from, guitar lessons, and I was showing her this song from a band at the time, and I was like, oh, do you hear that piano part in the background? It sounds great, like playing the chords like this. And she looked at me and she's like, I don't hear it. And then 10 seconds later, all of a sudden you hear the piano ramp up. And I'm like, yeah, but it started earlier. And she's like, I did not hear that. So,
I remember when you were taking classes with us, and we went to the clairaudient piece, and we had an exercise where we played music, and I said, just focus on the cello. And you're like, yeah, got it. I'm like, okay, that was quick. Now focus on the flute. Got it. I'm like, okay. All right.
Yeah. As a kid, I used, and I still do it to this day too, where I see it as like a game, like to try to pinpoint, like, oh, okay, this is the cello, here's the piano part, and I just think it's fun to be able to pick that out. But then over the years, it morphed into like now writing my own music and everything, or for our band, the wizard behind the curtain over here. We have a band called Waiting for London. I guess promoting this now, and a pop rock band or alternative band, and
K-pop, right?
Yeah. So we write original music, and it's interesting because now it gets to the point where I'll just wake up in the middle of the night because I'm hearing like a melody or lyrics or something that I have to record right then and there. And so now it's at the point where I pick up my phone, thankfully. I'm not trying to record in other ways like I used to a long time ago. And I just have the sound recorder. And
you don't have the extra digitals and
try to find a microphone and
But one of the ways to definitely build on your clairauditory is to listen to all spectrums of the music, right?
Yes.
And try to hone in on one sound and stay with that sound.
Yes.
And that really helps your eardrum and your body energy frequency, because as an auditory person, I pick up frequencies too. Like I can hear thunder before, like animals, they feel the thunder, right? Or they hear it or sense it far before we do. And sometimes they feel like that, like I can hear it way off in the distance, and I know it's coming.
I feel that energetically.
And you feel it energetically as well.
The clairsentient comes in, like even when someone is getting close to the house, I can feel that energy, but the sound is what you're picking up. It's interesting because with clairaudience, we're talking about hearing sound outside the ears, right? And I think if we can equate that, maybe there are some people who are joining us that could have experienced such a thing where you're sitting and you can hear faint music, but you can't find where that music's coming from.
Yep.
Or you hear muffled voices talking, and you're like, but I'm here by myself. There's no TV on or whatever, and you kind of like go looking for it, and then you realize, all right, I'm hearing something then that is beyond the veil. It's almost like seeing out of the periphery, and you go to look and it's gone. You can hear that through the veil. It's your spiritual posse, your support system, particularly if you're alone and you're needing help, they're always going to be around you giving support, and so you're more likely to hear it. And a lot of times it's happening a lot of times in the evening, so people get a little more spooked by things like that. But I have heard my guides talk to me in that period of time between sleep and awakeness, that hypnagogia state where you're not quite asleep, you're not quite awake. And I can hear my name being called. I know my daughter's heard her name being
I hear
called
my
to wake up.
name all the time.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
Not always in English
Yeah,
either.
yeah.
Wow.
And it's interesting because I think it's important to note that when you hear voices from your guides or your angels or your spirits, it's not always going to sound like they used to sound, because it comes through that energy of the spiritual veil there. So their voice might sound very much higher, like high pitched, like Mickey Mouse talking, or
really
very low, like a growl or a guttural thing. And so people, because it's low and it sounds like it's like, you know, evil and things, people think it's evil, but it's really just grandma doing her best, you know, to talk to you. And cause I remember being woken up with hi, like that. I'm like, what is that? And it was
Mickey
my
Mouse is
guides.
here.
Yeah. Hey, how are you? How you doing? Kind of thing. It's funny because I'll have to clear it up, but I do believe my youngest son had a clairaudient experience driving home from college one day, and he was driving a car that used to belong to his grandfather. And there's this wonky intersection. It's like 5 corners, and his light, he was first at the light and it had turned green, and he was about to go, but he heard very clearly, stop, or don't go. I can't remember the exact words. So he didn't. And a truck blew through the light.
Wow.
And so he definitely would have been T-boned, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he was so excited to come home and tell me that, because he thought, this is an angel, right? Angel was talking to me, right? Right, Mom? Angel. Because he always wanted to have a feeling like, no, that was Grandpa. He was probably driving with you. He didn't want you to break up his car. But you can get these kind of like hearing that one word or that something, and it might sound off, you know?
One of the things I love about being clairaudient is I can be on the phone, or I can connect with somebody through energy, or I can be sitting with the person and they may channel a different language. And one of my dear friends, Ken, he is steeped in the Native American tradition. He's an incredible shaman, and he really carries out his life true Native traditions, right? When Ken comes to visit, we'll go into kind of a meditative state and he'll start channeling. And even though I don't understand what he is exactly saying, this reverberation from the auditory goes through my body where I can actually put words to it.
Wow.
Or feelings, or one of the clairs that will, you know, interact with just that. Or I have been in a room where someone's speaking another language that I don't know, but yet I understand fully what's happening, because that auditory is kind of resonating, and for whatever reason I understand what the words are. It's really quite incredible when you can sink into like really listening. You get feelings from words, you get emotions, you get body language, you get facial expressions, which help make all that auditory come together.
Well, don't you think that's clairsentience working then with the clairaudience, right?
Sure.
It's putting that feeling behind, because I remember you channeled some messages from a great grandfather who passed before I was alive, and it was all in German, and you don't know German, and it was all in German, and so you could give me the words, and you said, I don't know what those words said, but this is what it feels like in my body, what he's trying to tell you.
Have you ever had that happen to you, where like
it's other languages,
or maybe it's English, but they're talking so broken that like but you got the whole concept of what's going on?
It's interesting that you bring this up. When I was younger, I used to hear other languages, and at the time I didn't know what language it was because I was a kid, but as time went on I learned that they were speaking French, so that was interesting. But then now it's more of when I do hear it, as Lisa was saying too, like I tend to hear it mostly every night before I go to sleep, and I just hear random conversation. Like they will just all of a sudden I just hear last night it was in the middle of a sentence, and I'm like I didn't catch the beginning of that, but now I'm hearing about something random. So but I try to grasp. Oh, okay, you're referring to this. I try to piece it together.
Yeah,
if I
it
can.
ends up becoming like I understand what you're trying to say to me, or even when you don't later on, you're like, oh, That's what you were trying to tell me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I love
Yeah.
when that happens.
Yeah, like there was one time I think when I was driving to the most recent psychic circle, and I heard pretty loud and clear, like around the perimeter, and it I thought back, it was a gentleman, um, and it sounded more something like he was like a sailor or something. It just had that feeling to it. But at the time, I was like, okay, I heard that phrase, but I don't know. Okay, am I looking for something around the perimeter? Like, but
Yep.
or he was just
Did
talking.
we ever piece that out for you to figure that out or no?
No,
No?
we didn't.
Oh, we're gonna have to sit
But
down.
yeah, we're gonna
We'll record that. We'll put that
Yeah,
on another spot. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
absolutely. Yeah,
Well, with all that being said, I think it's really important to stop and take a moment and talk about the difference between clairaudience and schizophrenia or
Yes.
mental health conditions.
yes.
You know, and it gets very blurred because we're talking about hearing spirit from the outside coming in, but clairaudient can also happen with what we call spirit ears, which happens predominantly for me, hearing spirit sort of within the ears, within the head, so to speak. And there's a very definite way that you can piece out what spirit is, if it's spirit or, as you were saying, a mental health issue kind
Sure.
of thing.
Yeah, I believe that there is, there's a difference between self-doubt speak or positive self-speak or critical speak. But then when you start adding a mental health condition, that speak may change to something of a lower vibration where you're not pep talking yourself or you're degrading or you're doing, critical self-talk in the wrong way. And it's important to look at that because no critical self-talk or no ego, or well, your ego could talk bad sometimes too. It can talk a mad shit, but yeah. you know, it's important to separate that because
Yes.
now with some of these weight loss drugs out there,
Yes.
sometimes severe vitamin deficiencies or mineral deficiencies can cause the body to react to get you to pay attention that something's not right. Right?
Absolutely.
So, especially some of those, like I said, the injections that people are doing for weight loss. I know as of right now, 3 case studies where the person was on this weight loss injection and it was not psychic.
Oh wow.
It was definitely mental health.
Wow.
Hearing voices.
Hearing voices, and again, they weren't positive self-speak. They were very critical voices saying very opposite of how you would walk your life. And I think it's important to make sure you pay attention to that because no spirit wants to come to you. I believe if you're asking, and again, this is my opinion, if you're asking for the highest good and you tell spirit, I only allow the highest good here, that's what's going to walk with you.
Right.
So when you start hearing something that's not giving you that pep talk or like, come on, you can do this, then we need to stop and take a moment and really decipher that out because that self-speak from a mental health point of view is so very different, which could lead to people calling you bipolar or schizophrenic or
Yeah.
what else was I called? There was another one that I was called. And you just look at them and you're like, no, I'm perfectly sane, I promise. Like, I
Right.
don't need that.
Right.
We would get that a lot. People coming to see us and thinking that they're crazy would be how they would put it
Yeah.
because they hear things. And I think it's just important to note there is a very definitive difference in hearing spirit and having a mental health issue that causes you to hear things. I know when I talk with some of our students and clients about the inner speak in the head, everybody has some sort of inner speak in their head, and the ego is going to talk to you in the first person. I'm hungry. I don't feel like doing that today. I need to get moving on this. Whatever. It's going to be the I that leads the sentence that you're hearing inside your head. Whereas your guides speak to you in the third person. You should do this. You need to do that. Or they might call you by your first name, Lisa, this is not a good idea, kind of thing. But never will your guides tell you to do things like harm yourself or harm another person.
Right.
Or never will your guides also talk nasty to you. they will guide you in decision making. And I every now and then I'll hear my guides do the heavy sigh when I make the wrong choice.
I love when you're on
Yes.
Facebook or like these social medias and you see like people posting like, this is what my angel thinks, and like the
Oh,
angels
yes.
got their head
That's
in their
totally my
face.
angel.
Like,
Totally my
oh, yeah,
angel.
I'm feeling that way today.
I hear my main guide all the time do that sigh like this. And I'm like, all right, you were right. I should have done it your way kind of thing. But there is a very definite difference. I've never had inner speaker voices.
So
Do things
let
like
me
that.
ask, I know you it's not your strongest clear, but I know
No.
you've heard them. Ryan, I know you hear them.
Mhm.
When you tend to hear spirit, does it come from like the internal dialogue, or do you feel like it's like
Someone outside.
someone on the other shoulder kind of communicating back and forth with you? Or are you in the car driving and someone's riding with you and you're just having an open conversation, and then by the time you get there you're like, oh wow, I think I was just talking to my grandfather or my great uncle or
Yeah.
something, right? Do you have that internal, external?
That's a really good question. I feel like it mixes up at
Yeah.
times. It's just a mixture, and so maybe now that I'm thinking about it now, I wonder, is that perhaps because of how they can communicate with me, or is it just how I'm tuning in? But there are times where I feel like it is someone right here just talking to me,
Yep.
and I'm talking back to them in my own way.
Yep.
Or sometimes it is more internal, that I'm just having a conversation.
Yep.
So mostly at night when I'm going to sleep, that's when I hear them like outside.
Yep.
But then like throughout the day, I'll hear it more internally.
Yeah.
So, or most recently, just 2 weeks ago, I was at a store and I heard someone like just say my name, and there was no one else in the store really. It was random time. I was just there, and it was kind of down the aisle a bit, and I was like, well, I really don't have the time to go down there. I mean, who knows what I would have found. but I did hear like pretty loud and clear.
Yeah.
So it just all depends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
If they really want to get my attention, it's very loud and right there.
And it's not always a voice. It's could be like you heard a door slam and no
Yeah.
door slammed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
I hear, I think my predominant clairaudient would be the spirit ears, the inner dialogue. But as far as external, I hear a lot of like noises that spirit makes.
Mhm.
Like I'll hear the click, click, click of like the toenails of a dog or a cat walking on hardwood floor. Or I would hear the sounds of an animal, let's say, that has been around, that I've had, that have passed. Or hear, often I'll hear things like a door shutting. And this happens, you've been in my house when it's happened. We'll hear my front door open up.
Wow.
And
It didn't.
didn't.
Wow.
Yeah. But front door open up. Now that house is not an old house. It was built in the 80s,
Mhm.
but for some reason so I'd like to say, oh, it's somebody who used to live in the house back in the 1700s coming to the front door, but it's not. So, like that residual energy we were talking about on the last
Right.
episode. But
Yep.
so we'll hear things like that. Sometimes
I have a
footsteps.
very specific spirit that comes and visits all the time, and it sounds like the French doors are opening, and then you hear, "Honey, I'm home," and the doors close, but then it doesn't engage any further. So every now and
Wow.
then, if I catch it, I try to engage it.
Yeah.
Just because someone is. They always say, "Honey, I'm home," and I'm like, "Well, I live by myself, so
Yeah.
who's home?"
Yeah. Yeah.
It's me coming in, and you never say, how was your day?
Damn. But also, what I find fascinating about clairaudience is telepathy.
Mm.
That does happen it happens with all the clairs, but it also happens on an auditory level, right? When you're having a full conversation with your animal in your head, and I know everybody does this. Do you want your dinner? Do you want a treat? Do you want to go outside? And the animal's responding, right?
Right.
It with body cues, but it also can telepathically say to you, yes, Ryan, I want to eat now, or yeah, Heather, I do want to go outside, or whatever it may be.
Right.
I find it so amazing how animals are so in tune to the auditory piece. Um, whether it's a cat, a dog, it could be any animal,
Mm-hmm.
because that's how they sense. Like
Right.
they sense a lot of things. They can sense emotions just by your breath, or how, when you pull onto the property, they know the vibration of your car, or which is all happening auditory, right?
Right.
I have a girlfriend that owns a horse farm, and when I pull onto that horse farm, her two dogs are running up the driveway because they know the sound of my vehicle, and they have to trot right next to me because they're Great Danes, so
Oh.
they think they're miniature horses.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they do the perfect trotting right next to the car because they know the sound. And where my other girlfriend has a dog who knows my smells so well, and like she immediately starts communicating telepathically to me because she
Wow.
knows I'm somewhere in her vicinity. So it's
Oh,
really
wow.
cool how animals also do that auditory um, insertion with us.
My cat,
Mr. Odin.
Mr. Odin, he desperately will come to me, I need to go outside. I'm like, not going out today. Heard the hawk. Nope, not going
Oh.
out today, kind
Yeah.
of thing. And Miss Heather will come over and immediately
Oh,
goes
he
up to
gives me the
him,
and
and he's like, you going to take me outside?
it's kind of like my cats. When anybody walks in my house, my cats want you to feed them. They're like instantly at your feet going, you're going to rip the can open? You're going to rip the can open? Even though they're very well fed. Like there's no there's no lack of food in that house for them. But I'm sure with the dog that you live with, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting that you bring this up as well, because I noticed it the other day, when he was trying to get my roommate and I's attention, that he had to go out. He, she kept asking him, "Oh, do you need this? Do you need that?" And he just looked at me and looked into my eyes, and I was like, "Oh, you need to go out. Okay,
Yeah.
we can go," and that's what he needed.
Yeah, all
So,
telepathic.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just like the coolest thing.
You can get
Yeah.
it with people too. Heather and I,
Yep.
we speak telepathically all the time.
Absolutely.
And you have partners that do that.
Children.
Children to
That's true,
parents.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
sometimes it's just you say, "Well, they gave me the look, and I knew exactly what they were saying."
Mhm.
Well, yeah, they were telling you also telepathically, and you have a
I gotta
connection with them.
look. I'm Italian.
Oh my
you
word!
You ask poor Marcella. She knows if I get to her middle name.
It's funny, yeah, right. If my kid's here, Christopher John, Kevin Todd.
Marcella Mackenzie. She's like covering her butt, still at 27, and like, nope, not messing with mom today.
Yeah.
You will have that experience eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
I'm sure our producer over there can contest to having kids in the car and talking and all that good stuff. Yeah,
He's giving us a look.
he's giving us the
Yeah.
look.
Telepathically, he's saying, "I'm not going to speak right now."
Yeah.
No matter how much we try
Yeah.
to engage Chris over there. But it has happened. I know that early on in our relationship, I could always tell when she was thinking about me or trying to talk to me in her head, because I would get this I would call it angel song in my ear, like
Huh.
this pressure and this particular tone.
And it's not tinnitus.
No, it wasn't tinnitus. And so I'm like, okay, she's thinking about me. So I would either text or call, and she goes, "I was just talking to you." And I said, "I know, I could feel it," kind of thing. So
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
So if you are clairaudient and you get a lot of high pitched sound in your in your ear,
or pressure,
or
like
pressure, or low tones in your ear, we always say just make sure it's not tinnitus, or if
Get it checked.
have it checked, because tinnitus is a real thing. It's very loud, it's very piercing. It can control the body to do, to make you make poor decisions because you're so stressed out from all those tones in the ear.
Yes.
And if it rules out that you have a mild case or a low case or no case of tinnitus, then you probably have some clairaudience going on. And you can develop that from there. I think it's important to do honing in on skills if you want to have your auditory. Go into a room, turn a recorder on, and talk to the room and see if it responds.
Yeah.
Or your animals and see if they respond. Then you'll get a good sense of not feeling so distracted or kind of scared, because there could be a fear of hearing that voice.
True.
We hear the fear all the time. People are like, I don't want to see spirit because they don't want it in.
Yeah.
Well, there's some people that are truly afraid of tones.
I
Right,
think of
right,
one of our
right.
clients. He just, I thought it'd be so cool to be clairaudient and hear spirit, and he's sitting in our home studio, and we're teaching. It'd be so cool to be
She just read my
clairaudient.
mind.
And and I have my speakers that are set up in that room. All of a sudden, through the speaker, you hear hello,
Huh.
talking
Clear
to
as
him.
day.
Clear as day. Hello.
I love this because our friend who was sitting there for class, he desperately wanted to hear spirit.
Yeah.
As soon as it
Right?
happened, he's like, holy.
He was as white
Uh-huh.
as white comes. He washed right out and he went, and his jaw dropped. He
Like,
could have caught.
I don't know if I
John
want
was like-
that.
He was like, "Did you hear that?" And we were like, "Well, you asked for it." And he was like blown away. Like, to this day, it's still an experience we talk about all the time because it made every reaction happen. And goosebumps, the
Yeah.
jaw dropping.
It was
And then he was
perfect.
questioning, like, "Did you hear that?" We're like, "Yeah, we're sitting
You
in
know,
the same
when I
room."
think back, we should have been stinkers. Said, no, what are you talking about?
I know. We're not stinkers.
No, but that that's a very real thing. For clairaudient too, can happen through electronic equipment.
Yes.
This happens every now and then with my phone, and I know with Siri and Alexa, and whatever. If it sounds like you're saying that, they clue in and they might talk back to you. But there have been some very clear times where it's been pretty quiet, and in a reading, let's say, and someone had a question about whatever, and I'm just trying to connect to get the question, and all of a sudden the answer comes through the phone.
Yeah.
Just starts speaking. My phone starts speaking, and
Yeah.
which will definitely freak out. I don't know why that freaks out the client more than me telling them the message, but it will. So I've gotten pretty much better at silencing the phone.
Yeah, and that's how we got here, right?
Exactly.
Just by
Oh yeah,
sitting
that's a great
together,
story.
right?
Yes.
Our backstory of why we're all sitting here together doing this was we were trying to create our name of what we're going to call this podcast. We wanted something that intrigued all of you and interest you and wanted you to come back. And
We had a list of different kinds of names that related metaphysically, and we're going through them.
Yes.
And as we're talking about them,
here's poor me. Nope, that's taken. Nope, that's
no, we don't
taken.
like that one. Oh, I really like, no, I don't like that one. And the whole time we're having that discussion, what was it?
It was so our studio's security camera.
Chris is pointing.
Chris,
But-
yeah, it's over there. Eventually, we'll have a picture of it or something in there. But Chris was having to reconnect it because the power had recently gone out, and so it just kept repeating, "Ready to connect, ready to connect." And then we all just kind of looked at each other.
Like, are we going to take that
Yeah.
sign? It's telling us what this should be. And as
Yeah.
soon as we decided that was going to be the name, it stopped.
It stopped. Yeah,
It did. It completely stopped.
yeah,
And it was only saying ready to connect every time we said like a possible podcast.
Yeah.
name.
What about this name?
What ready to
Yeah.
connect? What about this? Ready to connect. It was like, what's going on? So here we are. We are ready to connect, and so are you.
yeah.
And you have a story that you
I have a
before we do our
fantastic-
questions.
Before we do our questions and our affirmation, this correlates with clairaudience. It's a great story. This is why we're always very careful to say, go see a doctor, go make sure everything's okay, or just take it lightheartedly sometimes. So over the weekend, I was sitting with a newer girlfriend that I've met, and we're sitting on the deck and whatnot. And she says, I have to tell you this story because I know your backstory. And I was like, all right. And she says, so I was laying in bed in the middle of the night, and I woke up to the sound of someone saying, hi, Valerie. And she says, I immediately pulled the covers up to my nose and pulled it over my ears. And she was like, oh my God, oh my God. So she waited. And again, she heard the voice say, hi, Valerie. And she was like, oh my God, I'm possessed. Now, mind you, she lived in a very old home in a
Oh.
historical district. So
Okay.
it's not out of the realm that like somebody wanted to talk to her.
True.
And so she continues to lay there in bed. And on the third time, she says, nope, forget this. I'm calling my sister. she wasn't really sure what her sister was going to do, but like she called her sister for
Strength in
emotional
numbers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
strength
yeah.
in numbers,
Yeah.
right?
There you go.
So the sister finally coaxed her, like, open the door, open it fast, and it'll make the spirit dissipate. And
Love all their ideas.
so she goes out there and she whips open the door, and she stands there and she's staring down the hallway, and she hears it again.
Hi, Valerie.
Hi, Valerie. And the sister's like, all right, you have to walk towards it. Somebody could be in your house. And she's like, what if I get chopped up into little pieces? And like, she had all this commentary going on, right? Like, what if I get chopped up? What if someone's down there? And her sister finally said, go downstairs. So she goes downstairs, and just as she hits the bottom stairs, she hears the fire alarm say low battery, which equated to upstairs as hi, Valerie.
It's not everything is spiritual. Sometimes it's just a low battery.
Low battery.
Yeah.
I love it.
But in the middle of the night, hi, Valerie could be very scary.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
intriguing, right?
Right.
Well,
Right.
at least
So-
it was saying hi and not
Yeah,
like Valerie.
Valerie, right? Yeah.
very mad smoke alarm.
Yes, battery low. So yeah, so great story, fun to play with. Again, not everything's a spiritual experience, but it is too. Like it was. Poor thing. Now she's all set. She's got batteries.
Okay.
Yay.
Well, at least.
She's
Yeah.
like, I went to BJ's and bought stock.
Yeah.
All right, so we have some questions from our listeners that we'd like to put out there real quick. Maybe we can answer.
Here's a good one. This is Do you want
Okay. Yeah, this is a good one. It says, do you often hear from more than one person or family member in a meeting?
So I'm
So-
sure the meeting means like,
Like
in a reading or
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yes.
Sometimes and as far as like hearing, I mean she could speak to the audience part, probably multiple voices, but I have felt and received information from multiple sources to the point where you have to say one at a time.
Oh, wow.
Or a step back. Or we do this when we do that beginning exercise where we'll call in spirit or female, or even at our psychic circles, call in like one at a time, and we'll get multiple that will show up. And you just have to be really good at how to ask for one at a time. So let's say someone comes and they have, for past loved ones, both parents, both grandparents, and an aunt, and maybe a good friend.
Mhm.
And so you might have, 6 spirits show up for the one person, and
Wow.
you ask them, who do you want to hear from? And if they want to hear from mom, you ask for just mom to step forward.
Okay. That
Does
makes
it always happen that way?
No, it doesn't always happen that way. Most of the time, they like, especially if someone really wants to talk to you, like they'll flood in.
Right, right.
Or I find when we used to do like psychic fairs, when we used to
Mhm.
get a booth and sit there, it's always amazed me. Again, I've been doing this my whole life, but there's always these few moments where you're like, wow, where we're sitting at a table and somebody comes and sits at the table for a reading, and the one voice out of all the voices in the room, all the voices in spirit are talking to you, the one voice that needs to talk to that person, boom, you hear that one voice, you get it.
Wow.
So you kind of tune that chatter out, and you
Yeah.
get exactly what you need. And sometimes you miss, sometimes you catch the other person that's talking and the person's looking at you like, you are not right. And you're like, all right, hold on, step back. And then you re-listen, and always that one person will be a little bit louder. But then there's also the one person that you do want to hear from that will just sit in the background because they're kind of a church mouse, or they're the people that used to be wallflowers, or they didn't want to.
Oh, like my mother-in-law. If we want to hear from Marian, we have to ask specifically for her, because in living, when she was living, she was very much of everyone before me.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they were great listeners, right?
Right, right.
She was just a great listener, so she didn't always speak her voice. But if we needed her to, she would come forward out of that crowd where everything just becomes like, well, now I'm dating myself, but the peanut cartoons with the
Yes.
teacher in the background. Wah,
Yeah.
wah, 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 wah.
They
Right.
still have that on TV.
Do they?
Yeah.
They
Okay,
do.
good.
They do, yes.
Maybe I don't feel so old, but at least the older generation listening to this will know what we're talking about. For the new generation, go check out Snoopy, right? Was it Snoopy?
Peanuts.
Peanuts.
Yeah.
Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown.
You
Yeah.
were about to say Scooby Doo.
I was going to say
Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo. For some reason, Scooby jumped in here. Maybe it's time for a Scooby snack.
Should we do the affirmations?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Oh, I like mine. So mine is totally materialistic. I always have enough money in the bank to pay for the necessities and luxuries in my life. I look upon my account balance with gratitude.
Oh, that's a
So if that's an affirmation you need, say it as if it's already happening, and there will be.
good. Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Heather?
Oh, me? Okay.
Yeah.
Believe you can, and you're halfway there.
I like that
Oh,
one.
that's a good one.
I
Absolutely.
like that one better
Yeah.
than this one.
Absolutely. What you got?
I have you can never quit, winners never quit, and quitters never win.
Love it. Love it.
Quitting is not an option.
Quitting is not
Agreed.
an option.
Yeah.
No matter how hard life is, quitting is not an option.
Mhm.
And if you feel like quitting, there's always somebody there that'll back you up.
Absolutely.
And if you don't have someone, then you can call someone and get back up, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for tuning in to Ready to Connect. If you're interested in exclusive behind-the-scenes content, be sure to like, share, and follow us on social media by searching for Ready to Connect Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And for those looking to further support our podcast, consider subscribing to our Patreon at patreon.com/readytoconnectpodcast. And until next time, get ready to connect.